All right, so it's D Money. Talk a little bit about myself and why I chose trading as a career. So I've always been into looking at the stock market, looking at crypto for as long as I can remember. Started off like a lot of people, penny stocks, into stock options, Forex, and then obviously into futures. My why has changed a little bit over the last couple of years. My daughter. So she's about to turn 2, and I want to be obviously a great dad for her. I want to be an inspiration to her, and I want to make sure that I'm leading by example, so to speak, as a father. Trading is a great career from a financial standpoint. So if you can dedicate a lot of time to it, it's a struggle. It's going to be hard initially, but you'll be able to break through. My background, I was in retail management for over 15 years. So I ran 2 Walmart stores, over $100 million stores. I've ran multiple Target stores, worked there actually for 10 years, and I was an ops manager for Amazon, so running over 1 million square foot fulfillment center. Pretty diverse background, gained a lot, learned a lot, but trading has always been basically my outlet. You know, looking at the stock market, looking at why certain stocks are performing the way that they perform, that's always been like one of my, I guess, passions. I decided to basically go head on into it while balancing a busy work-life balance basically schedule, because in retail management, 60, 70-hour weeks are not uncommon, and especially this time of year that we're currently in, it was a battle. So it took me a couple years, to be honest, to be profitable. Had a lot of blown accounts in full transparency, a lot of frustrations, wanted to quit. It feels like millions of times. So you're not alone if you're currently going through that. I think what really clicked for me is leveraging the higher time frame, 1 hour chart, 4 hour chart, looking at the daily chart, looking at wicks on a higher time frame, and then basically going down to the lower time frame, which is a 5-minute chart for me in most cases, and incorporating what's happening on a higher time frame. So that actually click for me, and it registered that if price is bullish on the higher time frame, then I'm going down to the lower time frame and I'm looking for price to basically turn bullish on that lower time frame, and then I want to join the trend in that direction. That's when it clicked for me. That's when it basically, you know, there was like an aha moment, and it took a couple years. It's a little unconventional, my path, because I've obviously gotten payouts. I've talked about that a lot on the streams. I've gotten payouts through Forex prop firms. Previous to joining the futures market, I've only been trading the futures market for about 2 years. PW was actually the first streamer that I actually stumbled upon on YouTube, probably like a lot of you guys, and I just stuck with PW because I enjoyed the entertainment side of it, as well as the trades that he was putting on and making a ton of money, right? So I was drawn into that. My previous retail management experience, and as well working at Amazon as an ops manager. As a store manager, you have 400 to 500 people typically that technically report to you, and that's a huge responsibility. You have to manage a P&L. You have to make sure that if you don't manage your P&L properly, you're not going to bonus and your team is not going to bonus, which is very important. So for morale for your team, your associates look forward to those bonuses on an annual basis. So your job as a store manager is to create a culture that basically invites and wants to have people, they want to be a part of that team. They want to join. Had to be very disciplined, you know, had to stick to routines. So every day I had the same routine. I would come in and actually walk the store in a certain path and look for certain things. And the team started to kind of pick up on those routines. So they know that at 7:30, I'm going to be in the bakery today, walking cleanliness and freshness as an example, right? They pick up on your routines and they're able to basically prepare and expect for you to have those high expectations. So I was always one of those managers that had super high expectations of myself, but I also expected a lot from my team in return. Wasn't afraid to get my hands dirty, and the team respected that, and that's how I was able to basically gain a ton of trust from my team, get the morale up, and basically honor a ton of, you know, high performance results. That kind of bled into trading, so to speak, because, you know, starting out in trading, I wasn't disciplined. I would go in with too much size on trades, not knowing what was going on, not noticing time changes as far as like maybe there's 10 minutes left on an hourly candle. I talk about that a lot, and a lot of times you'll get a reaction back the opposite direction. If I saw the market was dropping, I would get short and not realizing that there's 10 minutes left, as an example, 15 minutes left on a 1 hour candle, and the market would basically push up and reject my entry level, and I would freak out and either add more size or hold it and blow accounts. It took me a while, and going through the fire, right? Because that's part of the process. It took me a while to basically kind of realize what was going on. And that's when I kind of stumbled upon, hey, you know what? I need to go up time frames and look at what the higher time frame is doing, because the higher time frame is always going to win. You need to find your why. Like, why do you want to be a trader? It can't necessarily be, or shouldn't necessarily be, I feel, because of somebody else. It should be maybe you're passionate about it. You love the idea of making money, providing for your family, whatever it is. So like in my case, my my daughter. Being able to provide a better life for her and wanting her to be proud of me as she gets older. You know, she's about to be 2, but at some point, you know, I would love to introduce her to trading. You know, I want her to be able to look on YouTube and see streams of her father basically, you know, engaging with a community of like-minded individuals and trying to better themselves financially. So that's the goal. So I would love if she decides to pick up trading as a hobby. I'm not going to force her to, but that would be great. Early struggles and breakthroughs. Starting off as a trader, I had a lot of struggles. And what I quickly realized is that your opportunities outside of trading, a lot of times they're gonna kind of bleed into your trading. So if you're not a patient person in your personal life, you're probably gonna have some impatient opportunities when you're trading. Not waiting for the right setups, not waiting for hourly candles to close, as an example. So I struggle with that a lot. So I was basically trying to force the market to do certain things in the time frame that I wanted it to happen. My thought process was, hey, I've been in front of the chart for over an hour. I got to get paid. I would force trades, look for things or force things that are not necessarily on the chart, didn't have a clear set of rules. And I quickly realized that for me to be successful in trading, I had to get better. I had to look internal side of myself and basically say, hey, you know what? Like, what's holding me back from taking that next step? Started to integrate the higher time frame, started to get payouts. And that's when basically I gained a lot more confidence in the market, because there's a lot of people that's struggling to even get to one payout. So being able to achieve multiple payouts is a huge feat, and that only garners basically your confidence. Oversizing, not waiting for the right setup, those are things that occasionally they still flare up because I'm not perfect. Still gonna make mistakes. It's kind of interesting now that I'm able to spot it quicker, and I can kind of realize when, hey, you know what, this trade, you know, it's not necessarily my A+ setup that I like to take, and I'm able to kind of course correct, you know, pretty quickly, but I still have opportunities that I have to work on. Nobody's perfect. It's just a matter of how do you kind of minimize those opportunities to be your best self as a trader on a daily basis. So those are some of the things that got me into trading and the reasons that keep me going.